So Minnesota won this game 20-7. Detroit falls to 3-9-1. Minnesota goes to 9-4. David Blau, 24 of 40 for 205, 5.1 average, one touch, two pick, was sacked 5 times, and had a rating of 60.9. Bo Scarborough led them in carries and yards. He had 19 for 65, a 3.4 average. Ty Johnson carried twice for 3, McKissick 1 for 2. So a total of 22 carries for 70 yards and 3.2 average. Now, receiving, Kenny Golladay, 6 of 8 for 58 yards and the one touchdown. Marvin Jones, 3 of 7 for 38. Danny Amendola, 5 of 8 for 34. And that's really it for the real notables. They were 7 of 16 on third down, so 44%. 1 of 1 on fourth down. They were 50% in the red zone, converting on one of their 2 tries. They were -2 in the turnovers, 4 penalties for 28 yards, and they held the ball for only 26 minutes and 18 seconds. Now, Minnesota, Cousins, 24 of 30 for 242, with an average of 8.1, a touchdown, and no interceptions. He was sacked once for a loss of 8 and an 111.4 quarterback rating. Running the ball, Dalvin Cook led them in carries and yards again, but not as much as usual. 18 carries for 62 yards, a 3.4 average, and had the one score. Madison, 14 for 46, 3.3 average yards per carry. Boone, 5 for 13. Ham, 1 for 0. And Cousins had the kneel down, which goes as a carry for -1. So 39 carries for 120 yards when it's all said and done, with the score and a 3.1 average. Diggs led them in receiving, 6 of 9 targets for 92 yards, didn't score, had the long of 42. Laquan Treadwell, second. 2 for 2, 42 yards with a 21 average yards per catch, and had that long of 36. Ham was the next with catching his only target for 25. Irv, 3 of 4 for 21. And a whole bunch of people caught the ball but didn't get significant yardage, I don't think. Well, that's what you would say. Because Alexander Madison, he caught it 2 times for 18. Cook caught both of his targets for 13. Conklin, 3 for 3 for 13. Rudolph, 2 for 2 for 11. Olabisi caught his lone target for a 9-yard score. Abdullah, 1 of 1 for 2. Hollins didn't catch one, but he was targeted. And Garrett Bradbury gets noted with a reception off of a play that probably should have been a pick. And they were 5 of 14 on third down, so that's 36%. That needs to get a lot better. 0 for 1 on fourth down, and they were +2 in the turnover margin. Penalties, 8 for 55, and held the ball for 33 minutes and 42 seconds. So, offensively, I can really tell they are missing Thielen right about now. It felt like a lot of those play fakes that they had, and it was like, okay, we're just going to drop back. Diggs will not beat us. Force somebody else to beat us because he's not getting behind us. And nobody really beat them consistently. And I think that changes if you have Adam Thielen, because obviously that adds a whole new dynamic with how good he can be and is. Cook never really got going. There was a lot of Madison, which I think is kind of a reaction to him getting a little banged up the last 2 times that they played, because there was a bye in the middle there. But he has kind of this shoulder issue right now, and I think a lot of the Madison stuff was probably to do with that. I'm not sure if the effectiveness of Dalvin Cook was affected by the shoulder. It could have been. It could have not been. It could just simply be Detroit like, well, we're going to make sure he doesn't get over the top. We're going to make sure he doesn't go anywhere. And somebody else is going to go somewhere. Which, once again, very hard to do if Adam Thielen's in the game. But when he's not, it's a little easier. And I don't know why they run C.J. Ham up the middle on 3rd and short. I don't know how often it's worked. I feel like it has definitely not worked more than it has worked. I would like them to get away from it. And I just, no, make him block. Just make him block. And Boone got in late, which is part of my next point here. The second half felt super conservative. it felt like they were just trying to not lose the game at that point. It was like, well, they have a third string quarterback. We don't. Their running back hasn't played all that much either in this league. We're just gonna, you know, treat this as like a vanilla cookie cutter kind of game here. And I don't like to see that because when you're given an opportunity to step on someone's throat, they never take it. I would like to see that killer instinct kind of, I don't know, come to fruition because at a certain point you're gonna need that. And yeah. On a plus side, though, they didn't turn the ball over, even though they probably should have on what was Garrett Bradbury's negative 4-yard reception. But yeah. Defensively, I thought they played really well. The secondary has definitely improved so far, although this one is against a third string quarterback making his first road start. So maybe grain of salt that one a little bit, but they did look a lot better in general. And that's with and without Rhodes. I think it has looked better in general, even going back to last week. I thought the pass defense, like the coverage itself, was actually better last week too against Seattle. There was a few plays that stood out, but there wasn't. Well, I guess I wouldn't say there wasn't that one big play because there was, but outside of that, like everything was kind of fine. Where a lot of this year has been kind of up and down for them, where they would have these games where it's like, well, every other week they're going to give up like 4 or 5 20-plus yard plays, and we haven't seen that so far since the bye, really, given 2 games. But yeah, and I would like to see a slightly better third down defense because this team didn't come in with a very good third down offense. So them converting more and vice versa. I need our offense to convert more than 36%. Just not a good look. They had a lot of pressure today. Daniel Hunter got there with 3 sacks. Jilla Johnson got in on the fun. He got Everson Griffin getting a sack too. So yeah, we got a few pressures today. They did get 2 turnovers, and overall they did win the game, but it had a very meh kind of vibe to it. And I do think they need to cut down on those penalties. It feels like this is a much more penalized team than the ones Zimmer has fielded in years past. I'm not sure what the numbers say on that. Probably should have looked at that before I did this, but that's okay. But because that, the penalties could really come back to bite you later in these more meaningful games, especially as you come down the road. Because against a 3-win team that's fielding a third string quarterback and I don't know what string Bo Scarborough is at this point, but they've had injuries everywhere. So maybe this is a game where if it's a better opponent, or at least a more healthy opponent, even if Matthew Stafford was healthy for this game and they had Kerryon Johnson, I'm not sure this kind of performance necessarily wins this game, but since they didn't, they kind of put that in their head and well, we're just going to do it this way. Just hold the ball forever and we'll eventually win, probably. That's what it felt like. Didn't like it. Like I said, really like to see this team actually step up and just crank it down when they have the chance to, and they just don't. So, yeah, I'm happy they won, but I still think there are clear issues here. I don't want this to seem like, oh, okay, so they win and you're still not happy. Well, in a way, they're still the 6th seed. Despite being 9-4, they are the 6th seed. They are kind of fighting for playoff lives in a way. If Chicago kind of ramps this up more, you can't really afford to drop many more games because you're a game behind Green Bay right now. And I believe you're, 3 games ahead of Chicago, right? I believe. So you don't really have the opportunity to drop a game or two, especially since 2 of the next 3 games here are against division opponents, being the Bears and the Packers. So kind of need to ramp this up a little bit. I would like to see more aggressiveness. This would be a good time to get Adam Thielen back. So I would like to know your comments, thoughts, all that good stuff down below. Liking, subscribing always helps. And until next time, I bid y'all adieu.